In Chicago's near west side, on the corner of Roosevelt and Blue Island Avenue, can be found a fragment of history. Echoes of its past still linger. For some, it might be easily overlooked. But look closer. There, hidden in plain sight, is evidence that represented a city's cultural heart for nearly 65 years. What once stood as part of an Art Deco temple, roughly 2 miles away, housed musical milestones, unforgettable entertainment, and athletic exhilaration. Performances that defined eras, enduring proof that once served as Chicago's world stage. A preserved relic of its time, it remains a silent witness to the spectacles that were once forged within its walls and still carry on into generations. From the vision of promoter Patty Harmon led to the blueprints that materialized the fortress of bare steel, concrete, and stone. When finished in 1929, it was the world's largest indoor arena. In the untamed sprawl of Chicago's west side, a battleground where chaos was as unforgiving as the gritty neighborhood it called home. The stadium rose from the ground to towering trusses stretched overhead similar to that of a barn. The massive beams did more than hold a roof. Every cheer, every noise, ricocheted and multiplied up into a cavernous steel cathedral of reverberating fury. Built for function over luxury. No frills, no distractions, no gimmicks. The events it hosted were its pure focus. Seats stacked in triple tiers, steep enough where the crowd appeared to hang over the ice, as if a fierce storm of loyal fans formed over their opponents. At its heart lived the Barton Pipe organ, the largest ever built, with 3,663 pipes, strong enough to rattle the stadium like thunder. This was where fans cheered through the national anthem, drowning out the singer with pure passion and pride. When the Blackhawks scored, like a well-timed symphony of deafening hysteria, a yacht's foghorn, the organ's roar, and thousands of voices all erupted like a shockwave of triumph on Madison Street. Those who felt it firsthand, rarely would it become a faded memory. It created an experience that lasted a lifetime. This was more than an arena. It was a madhouse.
From the Chicago Stadium, they are inspirational in this building.
It's jam-packed, and the roar has been going since 5 o'clock this afternoon.
No building pumps out the volume like this one. A smaller ice surface, the pipe organ, a national anthem that builds to a crescendo.
The pipes are built into the rafters, and if they turned it up full volume, it would shatter every piece of glass in the building.
Fans are going right now as the Hawks come onto the ice. A standing ovation.
Absolutely love it. There's nothing like the enthusiasm generated by the Chicago Stadium.
Well, they say this is the only rink in the NHL where you can suffer hearing loss, and these fans will try to contribute.
And this crowd helped the Hawks as much as the Hawks hope it can help. If this crowd doesn't get them going, the organ, the diesel horn, the Chessie's right, they do need a hard tread. I'll tell you, this is one crowd you're going to hear a noise, possibly the biggest crowd ever in this building for hockey.
Doug Wilson of Chicago was saying the other day, if you don't get pumped up during the playing of the anthem in this building, then you'd better check your heartbeat. You may not be alive.
It is deafening in the stadium here during the national anthem. They are ready for postseason play in the stand. As I said earlier, in this building, you feel the noise.
And that's the boat horn from the owner's yacht. Every time they score, and at the start of the game, that goes off, and that can scare you.
Chicago Stadium. Listen to the crowd. They're all on their feet. Nobody's left. The old gray lady on West Madison Street. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Chicago Stadium. That's hockey.
There's one thing that you know if you're from here. There's no place that's quite like Chicago. Have you ever been inside the Madhouse and heard just how loud the crowd goes? See, back in the day and across the street, they cheered so loud our troops heard it from across the sea. They filled the rafters with battle cries and laughter and showed the world what it means to be free. There's something sacred in our voices that's powerful enough to alter the fate of a game. To any rookie that's never been to Chi-Town, once you have, you'll never be the same. Oh, say, can you scream your lungs to the brink of collapse, both those in the nosebleeds and those kissing the glass, because every one of us bleeds and some of us lose teeth, but everybody screams while they sing to the flag. To this day, we amplify the echoes that have lasted. Our tradition is to be heard in the future from the past. It makes you wonder whether fans get energy from the players or whether players get their energy from the fans.
It's a musical performance, but it's one that needs to be done properly. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light? I mean, of course, we all sing it as kids, you know, and I sometimes say I feel guilty making a career of singing a song that we learned in first grade. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming. The very first time was I was a graduate student at Loyola. You know, they had no PA announcer, and I said, why doesn't somebody do that? So I just kind of volunteered and started doing it. Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Before the game, I would press the button and play a cassette of Kate Smith singing the national anthem. And one day I hit the button and it just gobbled it up. And so everybody's looking around and I thought, well, I know the song, so what the heck? So I just sang it. Or the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. The Chicago Stadium had special memories for everyone who grew up in Chicago. It was a place that hugged you back. And the rockets, red glare. The bombs bursting in air. I would say that the anthem became an event unto itself by the mid-'80s, solidly. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. The routine was pretty similar. I mean, it was almost exact, game from game. Park in 3.5, walk up to the press box area, and then walk all the way around, and then come over to where the organ loft was, and the entrance was just really bizarre. It was a cage and a gate that you had to crank open, and then the steepest metal ladder. To me, it was like, I don't know, it was like walking into the Roman Colosseum. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? There was always a buzz and an anticipation. Because it was very theatrical. The crowd was always ready for the game. The explosion didn't happen right away. Or the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I'll tell you, this is one crowd you're going to hear a noise, possibly the biggest crowd ever in this building for a hockey game.
I think you could anticipate that the crowd wasn't ready to just throw in the towel. down 0-2 in a best of 7. It was the first time I had ever heard kind of like a weird rumbling. With the first notes, they just exploded. And it became, wait a minute here, let's win this thing. It was spontaneous, it was honest, it was a true emotion. And then the next night, it happened again. It worked for Game 3, so they went nuts, and it worked for Game 4.
And this crowd began a roar as the Blackhawks came out onto the ice surface. And they will continue to roar. As a matter of fact, they will undoubtedly be roaring right through the anthems, as they did the other night.
You get the person next to you losing their mind. You can't help but get excited. That's what really fueled it and has kept that eternal flame going even to today.
They're the National Hockey League's all-star fans. It's the National Hockey League's all-star building, and it's the 42nd NHL All-Star Game from Chicago.
I could sense that it was very special. I knew that it was important before I began singing. I will tell you that when the crowd is making that much sound, measured at 110 decibels, it's difficult to hear yourself. One would think the world's largest theater organ would be easy to hear. I remember I was drenched with sweat. I really started sobbing. Every local and national newscast opened and closed with that video. Then it hit me. You know, I said, well, I think I did something pretty good today.
NHL goal 500 by Stan Mikita.
We have some footage. It's kind of a wide shot, but we do have some footage of your scoring your 500th goal at the stadium.
You do?
We do. It's a wide camera shot.
Never. They said there was no picture taken.
I've got something. So.
This is up the middle of Stan Mikita. Mikita's coming up to center ice. Mikita has two defensemen to try to beat. He beats one. He beats two. He scores!
The place went nuts. A lot of hats on the ice. Wasn't a hat trick, but they were throwing something.
Stan spent his entire career here. Rightfully so, should be looked upon as the greatest Blackhawk ever.
To honor Stan, in the fall, as soon as we get our schedule, we're going to have a Stan Mikita night. And his number, the first number in the history of the Blackhawks at that time, will be retired.
And it was the first game I was able to work on the radio. And so I was thrilled. I'm 26 years old, and I'm doing my first NHL game, and I'm out of my mind. And they're retiring the jersey of a legend who I grew up watching play hockey for the Blackhawks.
And as soon as I got the jersey, I put it on, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's retired now, you're not going to need it anymore, and you know, maybe somebody else would enjoy it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will ask you to share this moment with me and pay tribute to the greatest guy I know, my father.
When I handed the jersey to my dad, and as a way of saying thank you for what you've done for me, I think that was probably, if not the proudest moment in my life, it was one of the better ones.
In the third period, which we're now at the 8:56 mark, Bobby Hull scoring from Balfour and Hay to make it 1-0 Chicago. Now it's hail, hail, the gang's all here for the hockey fans at the Chicago Stadium, and they're all singing. They're still up on their feet. Well, that was quite a demonstration by the Blackhawk fans. We're all set to start play again.
This is the story of an immigrant who sat 100 feet above the ice and played the world's greatest organ with 3,000 some odd pipes. He played so loud he'd quiet riots by shattering the lights, but he played too much and they had to ban him from playing Three Blind Mice. You see, a sound wave doesn't disappear. Like a legacy, it lingers. Mr. Melgar knew this all too well and told his story with only 9 fingers. Who knew the son of a blacksmith would play such angelic tones on the monster that Barton built to rattle your soul out from your bones? Now it's fitting that he played an organ in the heart of the city. Little did he know that he would become a part of it. While most people inside the Madhouse are patients, Al gave it life and in turn became the heart of it. He fell in love with music on the south side by the lake, in the city of big shoulders where his parents raised him to be great. So here's a moment of silence for Chicago's organ beater, who knew more than most what it means to have what it takes.
Hi, I'm Ron Bogda, and I used to be the organist at the old Chicago Stadium. I took over when Al Melgard retired. I started taking lessons from Al Melgard about 1957. Grew up in Oak Park, and coincidentally, right down the street from Al Melgard. I remember one day I went in for a lesson. Al said to me, I got time after your lesson's over. Let's go down to the stadium and I'll turn it on and you can play it. So we just jumped in the car and drove down the street and walked in the place and wow, it's empty. We can go up to the organ, he can turn it on. And it was really quite a sensation. And because of his association with the Barton Company, he was finishing up a contract and committed to be their organist exclusively for the first 6 months, which was one of the reasons he was not available when the stadium first came online. They had Ralph Emerson come in as a concert artist to dedicate the organ and so forth. 6 months or so when he moved to California, and that's when Al came and took over the work at the stadium. There was a couple of real big organs built within about 2 years before the stadium went up, and they both had 5 manual Wurlitzer organs. So when Patty Harmon decided he was going to build a new building, well, we got to do better than these guys, so they created this 6-manual organ, which was done in collaboration with Dan Barton from Barton Organ Company. There were 4 chambers, and in the center, the blower room and the relay room, which were the controls for the organ. So it was intended to be spread out over the building to give maximum coverage. And because it was so high, when you looked up there, all you saw was, it looked like, gee, there's a wooden floor hanging from the ceiling. You could feel the vibrations of the organ. Suppose I was playing something loud for some reason, and you just, were leaning on a railing over here, or this or that. You could feel it, and oh, it was loud. Had the potential to be very, very, very loud. The console, of course, was at the end of the building. As you played, you were sending the electrical signal from the console through the cable, up the wall, across the ceiling to the center of the building. When you first play it, the first sensation is, and then you hear it. And if you're playing something that's fast, you just play. Don't listen, just play it. I would play while the building is filling up. And I never left the bench until the game was over and they're turning the lights off. I used to get a lot of requests for a happy birthday, so I just play happy birthday sometime. It's got to be somebody's birthday in that building. Stan Mikita was one of the outstanding players at the time, and so I would play Czechoslovakian music. You know, he'd look up and say they're moving down the ice. It's a breakaway. I could play bum, 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 you know, build up, let's get the audience clapping. Mail would come in, and it would say, Al Melgard, Chicago Stadium. And that's all that was on the envelope. Come with a 2-cent stamp.
Right, what do you remember about the 3 blind mice?
The officials don't like that.
Dear Mr. Dutton, in an endeavor to put a stop to the practice of throwing things on the ice, instructions have been issued to organist Al Melgard that in the future he is to refrain from playing 3 blind mice or doing anything else which might prejudice the fans against the officials or incite them into throwing things on the ice. If you have any suggestions that would be helpful to us, we would be grateful to have same. Yours truly, William J. Tobin.
It's been a great 10 years here. I've had a lot of good friends, and I've had a lot of good teammates. I've probably played in front of the best fans in the world.
Nervous, scared, fear of not producing, even fear of disappointing even our fans, which in my heart I was still a Hawk, but at the time, you know, I got traded to Montreal. I said, I got to play a good game in front of them, you know. I thought once I stepped on the ice or going up the stairs, I'd be okay. No, I was nervous the whole time. The fact that I wanted to play so well and play so good and help our team, our new team winning, but at the same time, my heart was still here.
19 marches qui mènent sur la patinoire. Alors vous pourrez probablement vivre l'accueil qui sera réservé dans quelques secondes encore. Pénétrez, voilà, c'est fait. Et écoutez l'ovation. C'est un accueil extrêmement chaleureux qui a été réservé à Denis Savard, mais tout sera oublié dans quelques minutes puisque le match va commencer.
When I got traded back here in 95, when I put the sweater back on, the colors were right.
There were 21 stairs.
21 stairs.
21 steps.
Oh my goodness, the walk up.
That takes 2 years off your career.
There were 21 stairs going down. And believe it or not, same number going back up.
Going up the stairs, you knew if you had your legs or not that night.
That was when you're going to be a gladiator.
The gladiators are coming to the surface or coming up from underneath to do battle. And we thought we had a 1 or 2 goal lead before the puck was even dropped just because of the adrenaline that you get.
It was one thing going up, it was one thing going down. And down was way more dangerous.
You would hesitate, the whole line would stop.
trying to get down those stairs to the dressing room was a pain in the you know what.
I hated those.
First time I ever came down, I almost slid down.
That was probably the worst thing about the whole place, having to go up those stairs and then down those stairs.
You slept a lot. You are on skates, right? And you would fall once in a while, but you got used to it.
Coming up the stairs probably took 5 years out of my career.
If you look in today's game, the way they do it on the television, they'll show down the hallway. Usually it's the starting goaltender leads the team onto the ice, and then after that it's kind of up to the players who wants to, be in what order.
Everybody would fall in line exactly the way they knew where they should be. And it would be, of course, Tony, and then the other goaltender, and then I'd be behind that.
And it was like a routine. Like everybody knew when they were going, who they were following.
I would always go out right behind the goaltender. Eddie would go first, and I would go out second. The organist, Frank Pellico, knew that we were on our way up. And as the organ got louder, the fans got louder. And it was just something that it made your blood boil.
And going up those steps was like a slingshot for me. It was going to a place you love to be. There's no better place than the ice.
Listen to the ovation for number 9.
When I picked up the biscuit behind our nets and started down the ice, I could hear the seats go clattering and the people getting out of their seats. The further I went, the faster I went, and the louder they got. And by the time I got to the other end, releasing a cannonball at the opposition goal, I could hear all those 22,000 people and a roar that you can't imagine.
This place is literally shaking with excitement.
Now then, Bobby Hull from his own blue line. The Golden Jet driving at center in on the Ranger defense.
And it wasn't so much that I was the first to break 50 goals, but it was the tremendous ovation that the Chicago fans gave me.
Getting set, he may pass or shoot, he drives one. And the crowd goes wild here in Chicago. Bobby Hull has broken the all-time scoring record of 51 goals in a single season, and the crowd are going crazy. The ice is being completely littered with hats and popcorn and papers and rubbers and shoes. A blistering drive by number 9, Bobby Hull, who now is being congratulated by all his teammates on the far side.
My line mates who didn't happen to be out on the ice at that time, Chico Mackey and Phil Esposito, I went back to the bench to see them and they said, "Bobby, do you feel the same way we do?" I said, "You've got goosebumps the size of robin's eggs." "Yes, I do."
If you saw that one, you saw hockey history in the making. You may never ever see that again in your lifetime. Here he comes out on the ice again and the crowd get up and holler again. Now, there's another hat coming out on the ice.
The ovation that I received here in Chicago was just marvelous. Chilled us all on the bench, especially me.
I've never heard a larger one anywhere in sports.
That was likely the most important night of my career.
Mayhem.
Pandemonium.
Battle.
War.
Rock and roll.
Electricity, excitement.
I think one of the greatest kept secrets is Chicago Stadium. I always, call it the old barn on the west side.
The stadium was one of the greatest buildings ever built for sports.
There were so many unique things about the stadium, and one was gate 3.5.
It was just one of those great things. You walked into the stadium and just had a musty smell about it.
That's where I snuck in all my friends, my relatives. Just pay the guy at the door and you're going to get in.
Why did they have it gate 3.5? Why not just gate 3?
See, in the old days, the fire codes weren't like today.
This is a small ice rink. You can't hide from us.
When you came out of the corner with the puck, you were at the net right away.
It was built more like a Roman Colosseum type, where everybody is looking on top of you.
You had the mezzanine, and then the first balcony, and the second balcony, straight up.
And the noise would go up and hit the balconies and reverberate down. And it was up and down, up and down.
The energy from people is really, I think, is really infectious.
The sound just bounced and stayed in there.
I was right next to Billy Ray. I had to lean over. "Billy," I said, "was it this loud when we played?" He said, "Bobby, when you would get 3, the roof would come off."
When they say Madhouse on Madison, I don't know if that's a fitting description or if it doesn't fit it enough.
But I would say more often than not that it was a big disadvantage for the opposition teams coming into the old stadium.
If you can't get excited to play a hockey game in this building, then you're in the wrong league. You know, the fans get right on top of you, the rink is smaller, but hey, this is what it's all about, and I love playing it.
We used to sit down in the dressing room, and we would hear the people stamping their feet.
You could feel that the building was rattling and you're coming up those stairs, and all of a sudden there's like crescendo. And
Steve Larmer was next to me, and there was just like this buzz, the whistle. It felt like a whistle in your ear. And I said, "Can you believe this?" You know, and he was going, "What?"
Well, if you weren't ready to play in the old Chicago Stadium, you were by the time the national anthem was finished, that's for sure.
There's something magical about when you step on the ice and hear the crowd here.
We never had to worry about getting up because you just stand there for the anthem and you're ready to roll.
We think we have the greatest fans in the world here in Chicago.
And man, when they played the national anthem,
When they finished playing that national anthem and they let out that yell, and
you know, the roof just seemed to be shaking.
that player couldn't be lifted by the reaction of the fans here in Chicago, why there'd be something wrong with it.
It got you into the game right away.
get there before the anthem because that's the start of an unbelievable thing.
When I was sitting there with Dale, we needed our headsets because we couldn't hear each other sitting shoulder to shoulder.
That organ was piped in through the whole building, and the building shook.
The anthem, dynamite. I wait every day to see if it's going to be louder the next day. And it is.
The only thing louder than the organ are the fans out here.
All of a sudden, I gave the puck to Angotti. He gives it to Bobby and scores. The place went nuts. I couldn't hear myself think. And I said, what's going on here? And it was Bobby's 500th goal.
If you didn't get goose pimples, you were in trouble.
The old Chicago Stadium was one in a million. Just think about all the great games and the great players that have played in that building.
Remember the war? Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll never forget it.
Welcome to the Madhouse, mythic stadium just west on Madison, the Blackhawks' nest where Chi-Town's best bend both sticks and blades as they etch hockey history into ice. Listen, roar. That means time to get that game face on since the first 16 slid onto the rink in 1926. That Blackhawks jersey transformed men into legends. Wild and smiling goalie Charlie Gardner winning games on pure defense despite death on his doorstep. Camaraderie and territoriality, a tendency towards victory, leading mush marches, winning overtime goal and roar. Stanley Cup 1934. Sacrifice and sweat, part of the original six. No, you can't touch this excellence. Doc Rom's big train, Knocker, goalie Iron Mike Caracas cracked his foot and still took the cup in 38. Roar. This is just how Chicago rolls with the punches, toils despite the tribulations, and still strikes goals. Glory, the point of it all. Pride guiding their glide, the 40s ushers in the next league, the pony line, the Bentleys, and Mosienko tricks up his sleeve, striking 3 goals in 21 seconds, while goalie Al Rollins wins MVP. Fans gathering generation after generation, their cheers, claps, and stomps invoking earthquakes in the Great Lakes. The Madhouse shakes, $1 million on the line when the Golden Jet, Red, and Spider hit the rink. Superstars at every rotation. OG game face Mr. Glenn Hall never put a mask on. Stern stare, he blocked pucks with only his glare. Scooter Line carrying on the torch. Diesel Doug, Ken Warham, and master scorer Stan Mikita Stosh. Stanley Cup of 61 roar. Honoring the Black Hawk crest with each decade. MPH crew Martin Pappin and Hall kept fans gasping as they gasped past every speed limit. Maggie Keith, Dennis Savard, Big Al, Tony O, Ed Zoe, names ingrained in every fan's memory along with that maddening roar. The Madhouse full of maniacs and magicians bellowing the anthem before each match as organist Al Melgard hypnotizes by synchronizing chords with the scoreboard. Pride swelling, opponents sweating. Bring it. Gotta be in the zone because you can't even hear yourself think when up against J.R. Ronick. Blackhawks winning 11 games straight. Ice-cold form along the skate floor. Chelios and Sutter, Eddie the Eagle, Grandpa Larmer. Something innate in their balance of strength and grace. This game called hockey a duality. Ebbs and flows, loss and infamy, ghost of the Madhouse reborn in the 21st century, bringing a new dynasty dripping in Blackhawks iconography, relentless. This tendency towards victory, Blackhawks originality, 1926 to today, 100 years in the making, Madhouse still shaking. Roar!
They are loving it in Chicago Stadium.
But one thing is certain when you look around and see how this facility was laid out. Chicago Stadium was built for hockey. It is hockey that has given this arena its definition, that it has been given its soul by the people who for generations have had more impact than any arena in the world, the greatest fans in the world.